Today we're going to be talking about State Question 832. We're going to talk about the very worst statewide elected official in the state of Oklahoma. She's a radical Marxist, and how happy I'm going to be when she is replaced by State Representative Kevin West.
Now, who might that be, Charlie?
Well, I think her name is Leslie Osborne.
Oh, Leslie.
Yeah, and then we're also going to talk a little bit today about the endorsements from President Trump, how only one of them is really meaningful, and how the others they're interesting. They will assure the outcome of elections that were probably going to happen anyway. And so, anyway, those are the things we're going to get into today. Before we do, though, my buddy here, my reliable friend here, Bob, as you can tell, is not here again. And I sent a text to her this morning threatening to cut her pay for all the absences. And we all make the same thing. It's zero. And so, anyway, and also we are going to announce that we are going to do a remote on Sunday, the 12th, at the Children's Presidential or White House. I'm sorry, we're going to do a remote from there. Wayne has been very gracious to allow us to take the mics and the camera out to do that remote, so I'm really excited about that. That's Flag Day. That's also President Trump's birthday, and I think they have big events going on, maybe a big fight or something like that in Washington, D.C. on that day, an MMA match at the White House, and so a lot of things are happening on that day.
Yeah, but at the Children's White House on June 12th, where we're going to be set up and all, I hope to see you there. Come on out, check out this display. I love the focus on God that Ed Moore and his wife are trying to bring back to ensure we stay focused on. Understand that's a part of our heritage.
Right.
Bring in children. It is meant for children.
That's right. That's right. So let's get into this on State Question 832. There was a poll that came out about 2.5 weeks ago, and it shows that the yes votes are about 2 percentage points ahead of the no votes.
Well, Charlie, what is 832?
Well, that's what I'm getting ready to explain. Basically, it regards the minimum wage. If it passes, in 3 years, it will more than double the current state minimum wage. Now, the legal minimum wage in Oklahoma is $7.25 an hour. I don't believe you can find a single person that's making that low. The entry level for most jobs here is $10 to $12 an hour. And back during COVID, it got up to $13, $14, $15 an hour. Mm-hmm. And it was really hard to get employees. And so, but the reality is, in that 3 years or more, and double it to $15 an hour. But it doesn't stop there. It's tied to an inflation index based upon the inflation rates in certain cities like New York City and Chicago, Los Angeles, Seattle, San Francisco, such as that. And the estimates are that in 10 years, that minimum wage could be up to $30 an hour. If that happens, it will have a lot of shock waves go through the state of Oklahoma. It will be devastating to our economy. And what will happen is you'll see those entry-level jobs dry up. Many small businesses will go out of business. And also you will see that the people that will suffer more than anyone else are those people that are on a fixed income, the poor, elderly that are on a fixed income. Additionally, when this bill was written currently, students, part-time workers, farm workers, and domestic workers are exempted from Oklahoma's minimum wage laws. Well, if this passes, that exemption goes away. So you will see 3 of those 4 jobs go away also. The one that won't go away is farm workers, because you just cannot, without labor on your farms, you cannot get cattle taken care of, crops done and planted and things, and so we'll have to pay that, and so that will cause price of food to go up. And we will see tremendous growth in the cost of everything that we have to buy. And then in addition to that, it's also right now, or in this bill, they exempt state and federal employees from this. But not exempted are city and county employees. So when I went before our county commissioners with this information a few weeks back, they were shocked. And as I made the point, I said, what are you going to do when you have to pay your pothole man $30 an hour, and then you've got to pay your CDLs and your grader operators and people like that $34 an hour, something to that nature? You won't have the money to do it, so you'll probably have to cut your staff back by half, and you might as well sell off half of your equipment. You won't have the staff to run it. And so the amount of services offered to the people, grading the roads and things like that, will drop dramatically. And the same with the city. Their services, both of those entities will either have to come up with more tax dollars or cut services, or maybe a combination of both. And
if people are making more money, don't they have it to pay more taxes with?
So, that would be the case.
I'm going to play devil's advocate with Charlie, so everybody understands.
So, Bob, I've never heard anybody suggest that that's a good thing, is to pay more taxes about it. I don't think you'll find a single government official that would like to see that happen. And, I'm really frustrated with Governor Stitt on this, because his whole goal, or his number one goal as the governor of this state, was to increase the economy.
Sure.
If this improve the economy, grow the economy, if this happens, it'll start reversing everything that he's tried to do. Now,
well, Charlie, how do you back up that statement? Where's your evidence to support that?
So that's a good point, and there has been a recent group of economists that have reviewed this. Mm-hmm. And they're a large number of economists from all over the United States that have, and they suggest that every time it goes up, every little bit it goes up, more and more economists talk about how damaging it would be. Even Democrat economists, they say that by the time you get to $25 an hour or more, it'll become very destructive to the state of Oklahoma. And so we have here in Logan County a rancher, and when I was first a county commissioner, I'm not going to mention the name of the ranch, but we were having a lot of rain, and he has semis that need to get in and out on a daily basis, either moving cattle or bringing feed in and out on a daily basis, and he literally couldn't get them in and out. So went out and looked at it. He had very serious problems there, and I spent a lot of money, and took over 2 weeks. I can't tell you how many truckloads of shale that we brought in. We had to build that road bed up and get it. It was kind of in a flood zone anyway, and he was so appreciative to that. Well, I later found out he was Governor Stitt's roommate in college, and had a very good relationship with him, obviously. So this past week, I contacted him. I forwarded to him this sheet right here, which I will explain in a minute. And I told him, he's not saying anything about this. And if he cares about this state, he's got to start using his bully pulpit on this. Now, when we had Dave Bond with us...
Oh, wait a minute. Before you go further.
Yeah.
So the governor is not actually taking a position on it at all.
He has. I saw one thing. It was a news thing, and somebody asked him about it. He said, I'm against it.
Okay.
I want him to come out. I want him to do a press release I want him to use the bully puppet. Mm-hmm. I want him to explain why this is really bad.
Are you going to speak on who's promoting this idea? Who initiated this?
Yes, I am. And so the other thing is who is behind it. It's the Democratic Socialists of America, and then their local chapter here in Oklahoma. Those are the ones that have circulated the petition. There's probably been about $3 million spent, probably about $2 million to get the petition to the ballot. They are running ads all the time, those that are in favor of it. And in fact, I contacted Dave Bond with OCPA here a couple of weeks ago. And I said, Dave, all of the commercials that the people opposed to it are factual. They're facts. Mm-hmm. Whereas the people that support it, you have Rex, the electrician. You have Mrs. Goforth, the poor retired teacher's aide, mm-hmm. Who's now in retirement age and everything. And I said, all of the other side are heartstrings or emotional tugs at you. And I said, why don't you do a commercial where you have a lady that looks just like Mrs. Goforth? And she would come on and say, I was in favor of this until I realized that this would harm people on fixed income more than anyone else. And that's why I'm now opposed to this. And he liked that idea, but he said the cost to produce an ad like that is about 4 times what it is to produce the other. And they're a little bit tight on money. I was struggling to understand there's so many businesses in Oklahoma that know how damaging this is. But as he told me, he said this governor's race has just dried that money up for the most part. So let me show you this. This is what Dave Bond and OCPA puts out. The information on the face of it here is not all that great. There's a QR code here. You have to go to that QR code to get much of the information I just explained about this. And so what I've done is I've summarized that QR code into this one sheet of paper right here.
Sure.
And once I found out that the yeses were 2 percentage points ahead, I've told the folks at my church, you will not see me from now until the election. And basically, I don't care if it's a Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, I don't care. I will go any place that I can get in. And I've been asking pastors to give me 5 minutes at the end of the service, and then I will have these 2 documents where people can get them. And I'm begging people to take these and print them and make copies of them and give them to their neighbors and friends and such as that. Now, I've had problems. There's some churches I've been able to get into without any problem at all. But others, well, the pastor wants to think about it, or maybe we got to call a committee to see if I can do this or something. So I changed my tactics Sunday, and I just went to a church on Sunday. Somebody here forgot. I just leave mine at home.
Oh, did I forget to put it on silent?
Yeah. So I changed my tactics Sunday, and I went to Seward Road Baptist Church. Mm-hmm. And it's been years since I've been there. I was shocked at how much it's grown. That's wonderful news.
Sure.
And so I put it on every car. Just roll it up, and almost all cars nowadays they have an indention where the newer cars do. The last 15 years they've got an indention, and you just roll it up and put it in there, and when people walk up they can see it. There were 2 cars there that were old-fashioned, and I had to put it under the windshield wiper.
Well, Charlie, isn't that soliciting? Isn't that a problem?
No, that's not soliciting.
That's right. It's not.
I'm not selling anything.
You're not selling anything.
And I had a fella come out to ask me what I was doing, and I told him and gave him a copy of it. And he said, "Oh, okay," and turned around and walked back in.
But
it took me a lot longer than I thought it would because I'm an old man. I don't move as fast as I used to, and I had a lot of cars there. So my next stop was a Church of Christ on Waterloo, and lo and behold, they were already letting out. They must have unusual times. So they went over to Charter Oak Baptist Church and only had 10 minutes till service is out, and they had a huge amount of cars. And so I didn't do that one because I knew I wouldn't have time to do the whole thing. So I went to a little church north of there, and I was even surprised they had 20 cars. And I started, and a fellow stopped me and says, "You'll have to ask the pastor." So I went in, and the service was just out. And I went in, and I gave it to him, told him what it was. I said, do you care if I put them on? And he said, "No." He said, "I want to read it first, and if it's good," he said, "I'll make copies and give to everyone." And so, and he does know me. I knocked on his door when I was running for county commissioner, so I'm sure that he'll take care of that one for me.
Yeah, that's a church where Lazy E, isn't it?
Yeah, right there. Yeah. And so that's my strategy right now. And I will just say this: if anyone would like to help on this, if you will send an email to me with your name and phone number on it, I will send you a copy of this, and you can make copies yourself, and at least give them to your neighbors, your friends, and all. We have got to win this. This is passed in every state but one, and that one failed by a very narrow margin. And so we have got to work and do all that we can to defeat this.
So Charlie, if you get me those documents, I'll actually post them too in our social media accounts.
Okay.
But let me ask you something, Charlie. What has been the impact on states that have actually passed this kind of effort for minimum wage law?
Well, California about 3 years ago raised minimum wage for some restaurant workers to $20 an hour. Mm-hmm. And they estimate they lost 2 million jobs were lost to that.
2 million?
2 million jobs in California. And many, many restaurants closed their doors. I forget the name of it now, but it was a chain. It was a very popular, it was a local chain, about maybe 60 restaurants. They just shut them all down. And
well, Charlie, the Democratic Socialists, surely they know these numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So when they weigh this, they say, okay, we want to expand this out and do this in Oklahoma. If I trust they understand it would drive up unemployment, what is their motive then? Because this isn't...
Well, these are Marxist. These are communists, basically.
Okay,
they're socialists and Marxists is what they are. I won't call them communists, but they're socialists and Marxists. And so they would love to destroy the economy of this state, of this nation. Everything they do is to try to bring things down, to create division amongst people, and these wealthy people that make all this money versus these poor people here on minimum wage. There are 5 states in the United States that have no minimum wage at all. Mm-hmm. And what we need to do, if we can get this thing defeated, our state legislature needs to pass a law to remove Oklahoma from even having a minimum wage. Or let us go to the vote on the people. I don't know which is the best way to do it. But we need to get rid of it because the market itself, the free market, can establish what minimum wage is. And but now let's bring up the labor commissioner. I saw her on TV promoting this right here.
Oh, this is the radical Marxist? Is that what you said, Charlie?
Yes. Now, let me tell you something. When Leslie Osborne first was a state representative from kind of the Tuttle area, she would not, after session ended, she wouldn't go out with the girls or anything. She'd go home, immediately go home. and she was very conservative at first. Then she and her husband divorced, and things began to turn for the worse. When I was a county commissioner, very early on, the very first ACO conference I went to, ACO stands for Association of County Commissioners of Oklahoma. And 3 times a year, we would have a conference in Norman at the Embassy Suites Hotel. That is a huge hotel and a huge conference room. And we had commissioners from all over the state. Almost all of them came to that. Sure. And there were many other people too. There were all kinds of equipment salesmen and things. I went to all of those because it was very educational. Many services provided and things like that. Very educational. And that very first one I went to, we had 2 speakers that day. And the first one was Leslie Osborne, our state labor commissioner. And as she was speaking, she was talking about, basically her speech was, we need to tone down the rhetoric here in this country. It is, we're dividing one another, we're pitting each other against each other. And said, even my own family, if they knew who I voted for president, they probably would disown me. Now, I can kind of add 2 and 2, and she voted for Biden. And
is that what that tells you?
Yeah, that's what it tells me. She voted for Joe Biden. And anyway, then after her speech, Cindy Byrd spoke. And after the 2 of them spoke, I went up to Chris Schroeder, who is the executive director of ACO, and I said, I'm sure happy that you got Cindy Byrd here. It was really nice to hear from an American who loves America versus a socialist here who obviously hates America. And so anyway, she's terrible. She is the worst statewide elected official right now. And I'm so happy to see that she's turned out. She was almost beat 4 years ago. I don't remember who it was that ran against her, but it was closer than I thought it would be. And anyway, she was talking about this on the news, and she was saying that there are probably, I forget how many thousands of people that are on minimum wage, and a lot of them have children. She was talking the $7.25 an hour. I'd challenge her to name 5 employers, just 5 that pay minimum wage. I think she's full of BS. That stands for blue smoke and mirrors. And that's what I think she's full of.
Well, could she be referring to those who work in, let's say the restaurant industry, but their income is supplemented with tips?
Right.
Could she be referring to that, correct?
She's very dishonest if she is, because basically the tips are actually counted as a part of your wage now. And,
right.
And the reason that Trump is such a big deal on no tax on tips and things like that is because a lot of wait staff are making, depending on what restaurant you're in, some of them making $40 and $50 an hour.
Yeah, they can. They can. I imagine not all of them. Yeah. How about, okay, Charlie, let me challenge you this way.
Yeah.
How about the idea of farmers and ranchers, and they hire some help?
Yeah.
All right. Could they possibly be making the current minimum wage?
No, they're paid for more than that too.
Are they?
Yeah, because it's very hard to get that help. And where there's demand, salaries go up. That's how the market makes itself. It's very difficult to get farm workers, and most of them, to be honest with you, are Hispanics. And used to we had when a green card, what it meant basically years ago, we knew we had to have migrant labor to get our crops in and things like that. So people would come over, they would work. They didn't bring their families. Usually men would come over, they'd work in the fields. When the crop was done, they'd go back with a bunch of money. Now they come over, and a lot of times they bring their families over here. and they try to live here. And I know when I lived in California, I was in El Centro one winter, which is you certainly don't want to be there in the summertime.
Sure.
It can be 115 to 120 degrees. It's where most of the lettuce, it's Imperial County, where most of the lettuce is raised in the United States. I was there working for a brick mason. And anyway, there was a fellow bricklayer that was married to a woman that was related to, oh gosh, what is that guy's name? He was a labor organizer. They're just changing the name of the school named after him, Cesar Chavez. In Oklahoma City,
Yes.
they're changing the name
Yes.
of the school that's named after Chavez. And this bricklayer said his wife was sister of Cesar Chavez or something like that. And he said he's a snake in the grass. And, you know, but by the way, I think he's been accused now. Of course, he's dead now, but evidently he had cheated on his wife or something. And so that's the reason they are wanting to change the name of the school. So I'm suspecting that they'll change the name of it to something like Democratic Socialist of America School or something to that nature, you know.
Well, it's an honest name, right?
Yeah.
You have to call it for what it is.
Yeah. But she really is a liberal, and I cannot wait to get rid of her. And by God's grace, we're actually going to put a man that will be a dramatic difference, and that would be State Representative.
I'm not going to help you this time, Charlie. We're going to be discussing the votes and who favors who next time, or in our future show.
Yeah.
But just so you know, just plan a thought because Charlie started. I find myself favoring the whole notion of a litmus test for all candidates for office, and that is only voting for those who've taken the No Lobbyist Money Pledge. Mm-hmm. Consider this idea, folks. This year, we have had a dramatic increase in the number of people running for office who have taken that pledge, and I do believe in order to clean up politics, in order to get representatives of all stripes and flavors to truly represent the people and what it is that we're interested in, instead of all these high-powered, high-funded special interests. This No Lobbyist Pledge is so critical that I want to support it regardless of who the person is, just for the sake of getting this concept out. Yeah. Please consider that. Look at who it is you're voting for and who you're able to vote for and where they stand on this particular topic. Talk to them about it. Yeah. You give them a call. They'll answer the phone right now. Sure. It's election season. Yep. And just ask them about it. Get their opinion on the whole thing.
Yeah. There was an article in the newspaper not too long ago talking about this very thing, and it mentioned that there are 11 candidates for the state legislature that have taken this pledge. Now, I happen to know there's more than that. For example, Robert Trimble, who's our current senator is Grant Green the Crook, but Robert is running against him, and Robert has one of the strongest convictions of anyone I've ever seen against taking money from lobbyists or gifts from lobbyists. Now, the reality is his campaign has done a lousy job of making that public. But that is, and we're seeing a bunch of them right there that you're bringing up.
Right. Next time we'll share the screen on this. Yeah. But I'm thankful for the folks who put this together, talking about all the various offices from around the state, various candidates who have taken the No Lobbyist Pledge.
Yeah.
And it is, you'd recognize a number of the names, I'm sure you would, but they are scattered around the state. And it's powerful. It is encouraging to see this year.
Here's why that's important, folks. When you take contributions or gifts from lobbyists, if you talk to a lawmaker about this, he said, "Oh, I'll take them, but they don't influence me." Yeah, they don't influence you. They don't influence people. That's the reason they spend millions of dollars a year on it.
Yes, those lobbyists spend a fortune.
And all of these, when your mailbox is full of mailers, and it's not from the candidate themselves, it's from dark money group, and it'll say not paid for by any candidate, and then it'll have some name of that's all lobbyist money. And they are supporting someone they know that they can influence in how they vote. So if you want to be represented by someone that is absolutely free from the control of lobbyists and there to represent you, it's really important, and that's why this is such a revolutionary movement. I want to go into one other thing here too.
Well, just real quick,
Okay.
the place to go to find that list right now is okgrassroots.com. Thank you for those folks for putting that list together. But good, Charlie. Who's carrying?
Yeah. So right now we have 7 incumbent senators and 3 open seats that are in play. Mm-hmm. These 7 incumbent senators are all supporters of Lonnie Paxton. Now, in my opinion, it's not an opinion on Lonnie being liberal. His grade on the Oklahoma Constitution newspaper shows that. And but as when I say I think he's one of the most corrupt, if you go to our program when we had State Senator Shane Jett on the program, I asked Shane a question, and he said, "Just how controversial do you want me to get?" I said, "Buddy, just pull the curtains back and let us take a little look."
Yes, remember that show.
And boy, can you see and understand why he's corrupt? So here's what happened. Please follow me here. At the start of last year, there was a vote in the caucus as to who was to be the next president pro tem. Lonnie won that by 1 vote. It was 20-19. The reason there was 1 Senate seat that was in the process of a special election, and that Senate seat was occupied. That was won by Senator Logan, who is a huge supporter of David Bullard. So go back to these 10 races. Now already our state Senate is the most conservative it's ever been. But if we can get another 5, just half of those 10, mm-hmm. it will be even more conservative than it is now. And that will assure David Bullard will be the next president pro tem. Now, if that happens, David Bullard will be the most conservative president pro tem we've ever had in the state of Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. And I believe that we will have enough conservative senators, and with David as leadership, to make our Senate immune from the bad influences of the tall building crowd. Now that's my loving little terminology for State Chamber of Commerce, Oklahoma City Chamber, Tulsa Chamber, Norman Chamber, probably Edmond Chamber. And so not everything that they stand for is bad, but some of it is. And a few years ago, we were redistributing $500 million a year. And how that played is these tall building people, they have a lot of power and wealth and have a lot of buddies. And they want to make sure their buddies gets you call it crony capitalism.
Yes.
but they want to make sure their buddies gets the favored location, the favored opportunity. The upfront subsidies are the rear end kickbacks. And that was a number of years ago, that was $500 million a year that we were doing. That $500 million could go to a lot of other good purposes, you know. But so kind of how it happens is your leadership in the House and the Senate, they have these big PACs. Well, the tall building crowd fills these PACs with money. Mm-hmm. And then your leadership, they determine if they want someone out. They try to get behind someone and take out a conservative. Or if they want someone in, they put lots of money behind them. And so that's how this corrupting influence goes. And I think there's a possibility for the first time ever in the history of this state, we could have half of our legislature would be immune from the bad influences of the tall building crowd.
You know, that's worthy of additional explanation, just so everybody understands. We have this undertow of effort going on through our legislation, and especially the idea of the budget and funding of various things. When businesses can get very large, very successful, one thing they don't like is competition.
That's right.
Because competition keeps prices down. So they can deal with these ankle biters, so to speak, through the color of law, by increasing regulations and all, which may sound counterintuitive, but bear with me. What happens is these small ankle biter competitions, they can't keep up with all the regulations.
Right.
All right, they don't have the staff for that or the resources, so they fold or merge or do whatever, and you're back to just a few prominent players in some market segment. And when that happens, they can raise their prices and actually make more money. So for them, it's well worth the funding to get in there and get the appropriate legislators that will support the legislation they want. And when they do that, the effect of that is everything goes up in price. Our middle class shrinks in size, okay? And it's typically front-ended with pulling on the heartstrings, some cause, some social justice cause that sounds good up front and businesses behind it, when in reality underneath the covers they're killing their competition and they're just taking the gold home. It is and we don't out this process enough. We don't bring it out.
Yeah.
So we intuitively see this. So hence the appeal to the No Lobbyist Pledge. But we need to keep this going beyond this year. And I'll be interested in seeing the results of the primary, mm-hmm. what happens in the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be discussing that here in a couple of weeks. I think we've agreed that we're going to have a special podcast right after the election, right after the primary, and we're going to evaluate the results of that to mm-hmm. see where we stand. Mm-hmm. It's huge, and we can make a great deal of difference in the Senate. So please do vote, and vote carefully. Please do check.
Well, also Marty Quinn brought this out on insurance rates when he was here. Mm-hmm. He said there's two things we need to do to get insurance rates down in Oklahoma. One is we need additional tort reform. And if we can get additional tort reform, that will make an environment that insurance companies can be more profitable in. Let's put mm-hmm. it that way.
Sure.
And so when they can be more profitable, then the other thing that's needed is more competition.
Yes, well, that
will mean more companies can come to Oklahoma. We don't want to push companies out. We want more to come here.
Yes.
If there are 10 writing insurance here, let's go for 15 or 20, and because that's what competition does. It always causes those who do the best will offer the best product possible at the least cost.
Yes.
And that's how the free market works. And
that is the best protection for the little guy versus the idea of government trying to
regulate and stuff.
Pick winners and losers, supposedly for the benefit of people.
Yeah.
That doesn't work out because again, all the contributions to campaigns it just doesn't, in the end, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Competition really is the solution.
Yeah. So let's go to another item here,
Sure.
Bob. I want to talk about the Trump endorsements. Now, I believe that the first person he endorsed was Kevin Hearn. And Kevin was going to win that race anyway, even though there's a lot of people there. He's by far the strongest one. Once Trump endorsed him, it was a shoe-in, assured. Probably the next one was Lieutenant Governor candidate T.W. Shannon. T.W. has worked for Trump in the past. And T.W. was, the minute T.W. got in the race, he was already 10 or 15 points ahead of Cindy Byrd. But I still was willing to work and help Cindy win that. But as soon as Trump endorsed T.W., Cindy took flight, and knowing she had no chance to win, took flight and went for treasurer. Now, we've had J.J. Humphrey on here running for lieutenant governor. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you, there is a possibility J.J. could win if somehow T.W. dropped dead of a heart attack or something like that. But that's the only way.
We don't really want to ask them.
No, we're not. I'm just saying that's the only way any of the others are going to win if T.W. something happens to him, So that was the next one. And then the next one came along was Jackson Lawmeyer. Now, 4 years ago, Jackson Lawmeyer ran for the U.S. Senate. And I can tell you this, two fellows brought him over to my home one afternoon about the time he had just decided to do this. And we spent about an hour on my porch visiting a little bit, and I was just kind of finding out why he was going to run, what his ideology was, and things like that. And as he left, he said, I need to spend some more time with you. Well, within 2 weeks, he called me up, and he came over and spent almost 2 hours. And we started getting into the heavy concepts of good government. Gave him books like The Law by Frederick Bastiat. And that book is the best thing you'll ever read. It's about 80 pages long. He was a French economist and statesman. He wrote that in 1848. Fortunately, it's been translated into English, so you don't have to know French to read it. And it does the best job of anything I've ever seen to show what are the proper functions of government for which we must pay taxes versus those that are improper. And he makes the case that when government gets out of its proper realm, he calls it legalized plunder. In other words, thievery. Government makes thievery legal. And that's really bad, and it's an excellent book. But there's a lot of things that I give, and when we vet candidates, we have a lot of things that we give them. Just for example, Eric Thompson and I do a lot of vetting of candidates. We did John Bachman probably, I would say, August of last year, something to that nature. And I've known John for a long time. He's running for a state house seat against Preston Swenson. And anyway, John was green. I've known him for a long time. He's got all the right instincts to be a conservative. But as far as really understanding how to take biblical principles and translate them into good public policy, that's something he was shy on. Well, right. I just saw him. In fact, I was a part of a commercial with him last Thursday. And so he told me, he said, Charlie, if you want to interview me again, he said, I think you'll find me a lot more conservative. I said, did you read some of that stuff that I gave you? And he said, I read every bit of it. And so that's how, and I will just say this. I have vetted over 500 candidates for the state legislature over the years, and I can tell you maybe 15% had a conservative ideology. well developed before they came before us. And maybe only 10 or 15% of those, maybe only half of those or a little less get elected. Mm-hmm. And then another 15% had a conservative ideology halfway developed, and maybe only half of them got elected. Mm-hmm. The rest of them don't have a clue. They're simply a Republican because their daddy was, their granddaddy was, or Bill Clinton or Barack Obama or Joe Biden said something they didn't like, and so they became Republicans. But as far as having that well developed, they don't have a clue why they're a Republican. And those are the ones that are such easy targets for lobbyists and people like that.
Yes.
So educating these people are very, very important. But anyway, back to Lohmeyer. He didn't win that race, but he pastors a large church in Tulsa, which has grown immensely. Sheridan Church in Tulsa, and on Sheridan Street, I believe, is where it got its name. It's grown immensely, and he's had many of the Trump family members in his church over these last 4 years. Both of his sons, Laura Trump. And he's had them in his church multiple times. He also formed an organization called Pastors for Trump, and this is primarily Protestant pastors that have worked to get Trump, reelected. So, Jackson, that endorsement there was probably, was helpful, but I think Jackson was headed that way anyway. And then you get to Tom Cole and you get to Frank Lucas. And these guys, they're going to win, whether he endorses them or not.
But did he endorse them?
He endorsed them. He endorsed both of them. See, what Trump likes to do, if you watch Fox News and they start showing his numbers, like he's done so many governors, so many senators, so many congressmen, he's 100%. He normally won't endorse somebody unless they're going to win, because he wants his percentage high, because what he's trying to do is build a concept of fear in other members of Congress to do what he wants them to do.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that's all bad. You have to understand, folks, the Democrats have been far more successful in purging the moderates out of their party than we've been in purging the rhinos out of ours. Now, we're doing that. We're doing that at the state level, and they're doing it to some degree at the federal level, but we're way behind. And so Trump is trying to get that done because there's things he wants done that he doesn't have support of. And so anyway, so those two. But now, last week he endorsed one that is not a guaranteed winner. And he made an endorsement in the governor's race. And he endorsed Mike Mazzei. And I can tell you, all of them, they run their commercials about how strong they stand for Trump and things like that.
I see them.
Yeah, and they try to tie themselves to Trump. And now Trump has actually tied himself to one of them. And I had made the decision after we had Mazzei on our program. I believe it was last week, if I'm not mistaken, maybe the week before, and I was leaning that way. But as far as making it public, that's when I decided to endorse Mazzei. And as I say, I believe, and you watch the program. I believe he has the best ideas, and he does a better job of explaining how he's going to accomplish those ideas of any of them. If you were to watch McCall, Keating, and Mazzei, we had those three in a row. Mm-hmm. If you watch those three, I hope you will, then you can make your own mind up. And I like these other guys, and you have to understand one of the most difficult things about politics, where you're a person that makes endorsements and recommendations, and there are many people that follow those. It's tough when you like them, you know them all, and you get to be friends with them, but you have to choose one of them over the others, and it's tough. And
Yeah, but Charlie, you don't think Trump's endorsement of Mazie makes him a shoo-in? That in a sense,
Yeah, I do. It
really does.
Yeah, I do. I think.
No, I don't think so. I really think my man Jake Merrick is going to win this race. People underestimate his effort, and I'll tell you, everybody I know and that I speak to, all support Jake Merrick. You should too.
Not everybody. So here, let me read to you. So I'm going to bring in something. I've done this for years. It's called Charlie's Picks, and particularly when I was president of Oak Pack, we had an email list of over 5,000. And pardon?
You may want to save that. We're a little low on time.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to go into just one thing.
Yeah. Okay.
The Mazie thing. We had this email list of over 5,000. We got a website, and our first time before the primary, we had 15,000 log into that. Mm-hmm. But with email, God only knows how far people forward that, So I've not really done this much since 2018, but this year it's more complete than I've ever done it.
Sure.
And this is what I did on governor. This decision took me a long time, as I really like Keating, Merrick, and McCall. I would only vote for Drummond if he had a Democrat opponent. Merrick is the most conservative, but polling around 7%, he has no chance to win. We have done an hour-long interview on our podcast, The ABCs of Politics and Culture, found on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble, with each of them, and I believe Mazie has the best ideas and is more thorough in explaining how he intends to accomplish his ideas. Listen to them and see if I'm correct. And so anyway, that's the deal. Now, Jake, if you vote for Jake, at one time this mattered because Mazie, Keating, and McCall were just virtually tied. And if you voted for Jake, you'd be wasting your vote, whereas you could have made a decision to vote for Mazie if he's truly the better of the other two and help him in the runoff against Drummond. It looks to me like most recent polling, it's all four of them, Drummond, Mazie, Keating, and McCall, are all very close together right there. I think Drummond's come down dramatically. And so it's fun to watch.
I've seen polls that suggest otherwise, with Jake being far ahead.
Yeah.
But what do you do with polls?
Yeah, well, the thing of it is, Bob, that was your poll that you took. You called your 10 friends. They're all supporting Jake. And that's how your poll came out.
Is it? I saw it on the internet, Charlie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I saw your poll on the internet too, Charlie.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, I did.
All right. So, no, I love Jake, and I wish he hadn't have done this. He had a very powerful radio program that was growing, and if he had just waited 2 years when Lonnie Paxton terms out, he could run for that seat, probably win that, and really help that Senate to be even more conservative. I actually hope he'll still do that. He didn't used to live in Paxton's district. He moved there. I think his wife is from that area, and they moved there a year or two ago, something to that nature. And so Paxton terms out after 2 more years. He's got one more.
Well, his time will come.
Yeah.
Okay, we really should close.
Okay. Well, folks, thank you. I hope this has been enlightening, and we're going to be talking with. Well, I'm not sure what the next program will be, so we'll see you the next. Bye.
Go Jake Merrick. Take care all. Bye bye.